Hello Warhammer YouTubers. This video is about my latest hobby project, and this week I painted a 10-man Grey Knight strike squad. Um, it was quite a challenge in some regards. I wasn't really sure what Grey Knights to actually paint, but I thought I'd just go with the generic squad to kind of test them out. And these are the first Space Marines that I painted in like 18 years. I have not painted Space Marines since I prepared for a 2001 Grand Tournament, and I painted up some Grey Knights for that. So it was kind of fun, a little bit intimidating in some respect. But it's really nice to get some different projects finished. I'm absolutely loving this strategy because it's actually, number one, it gives me an incentive to finish projects quickly because you're doing this very publicly. But also switching it up and just doing something different. And they're not always perfect by any means, but you're learning, or at least I'm learning, lots of different skills, and it's fun and interesting to just paint different colors a lot of the time. Not every project will, of course, be dramatically different. I could, have a Blood Angels project one week and then do, I don't know, the Red Eldar or whatever the week after, and you're using similar colors. But a lot of the time, these are going to be dramatically different, and that's been the case so far. So overall, I'm fairly happy with how they turned out. I'm certainly not ever displeased with my paint jobs, but I'm very much a perfectionist, and so I know where they don't look good, and it really sticks out like a sore thumb to me. But they're certainly much better than those first Space Marines that I painted. So obviously I did spend quite a bit of time on the metal details of these models. I don't know if it really came through or not. I even did like some highlights with the airbrush and stuff, but they probably just got swallowed up. In either case, I added a blue glaze onto the lower parts of the armor. It's kind of what they recommended. In some ways, they're supposed to be like a bluish metal armor, and it's really difficult to see on the front, but you can kind of see some of the effect from behind. I think the glowing eyes worked okay. I wasn't really sure if the effect would come out the way I wanted, but I think they look pretty good. I ordered a new drill set this week and some set of micron pens, which are very fine pens, specifically for this project. And they arrived a little later than I expected, and that's one of the reasons this is coming out a little bit later than regular. So I did drill their barrels, but not quite as deep enough. And I've never had to do that before, I don't think. And there's definitely some improvement that could be made there. One aspect, of course, is because the pen or the drills arrived later, is that the models were already partially painted when I started drilling, so I was a little bit more timid with kind of handling them. Definitely better to do that type of work, when they're like on the sprue, or even when they're just, the models are just being assembled, rather than during the painting process. I used the micron pens to write the lines on the scrolls and the books. Those turned out pretty good. I can write pretty close lines. The challenge was writing the words on their, on their right shoulders. There's like a scroll, and on a couple pieces of their armor as well. And if you look in the codex and things like that, they all have like a Latin phrase or something like that, right? Like a name or something to do with the Grey Knights written on their shoulder. That's a challenge, like really hard. And you look on the codex and it's like they've managed to like paint in this beautiful scroll work, and I didn't do that. but I didn't want to just leave them blank. And so I did try to write some words on there. That is, like I said, I found that to be really a challenge. Some turned out okay, and others not. The Micron pen's definitely the way to go, I think, because the tip on it is a 0.5 millimeter, so it's really, really small. But it tends to kind of slip off the paint and slip off the scroll, and so some letters were kind of harder than others, and they look fine enough that I didn't want to, repaint and redo it. So I just left it as it is. The other thing about this is the sword. Now, in my mind, I wanted a very strong contrast between light and dark. I really like looking at images of the paint jobs that people have done, and there was one of like going from like pure white to like very dark blue, and that's kind of what I had in mind. But I also was somewhat following like a tutorial on Warhammer TV, and that was very much a more muted blue. So I tried to kind of combine both, and it didn't work out. It just ended up being maybe more of a contrast than what Warhammer TV was doing, but not nearly quite what I was envisioning. But I do think they look okay. It's just that they're not quite as clean. They're not quite as the contrast isn't quite there as I had planned. So when I return to Grey Knights or paint something similar in the future, I'll try to improve upon my results, and that's always the effort. So, upcoming projects this week. I realize it's already Wednesday, but I think it's easy enough to do a model. I'm going to do Red Corsairs, and I'm going to do Huron Blackheart, who's kind of like this is a Chaos Space Marine chapter, Huron Blackheart, but it's like a renegade. They were basically, I don't think it was that long ago in terms of the story that they were regular Imperial Space Marines, and then they turned to heresy. So that should be interesting, and there's only one model that I know for the Red Corsairs, and that's going to be painting him up. And that should be good. It shouldn't take that long. I should be able to do it very easily. Now, when I get a very short week like this, kind of in my mind, the intention is to then maybe do other types of videos because it's a little bit less time intensive. This week, however, it's a little bit different because I'm actually leaving tomorrow, and I'm driving 30 or so hours in the next 3 days, and I'm going away, and then I'm coming back. Plenty of time to finish, I think, Huron by the end of this weekend. I hope to get caught up then. But the fruits of this trip might indicate a move in the near future. And of course that will disrupt a lot of things. I just unpacked a lot of stuff in this room, and so that's obviously a good indication that I'm going to be moving soon. I should have unpacked them when I showed up, clearly, but we'll see. As it is planned, next week is supposed to be, I have a category on my table that is kind of a random result pile. That is a mix of showcase, rare models, specialist games like Blood Bowl, Battlefield Gothic, Mordheim, all those weird kind of associated projects, but kind of in their own category. Even like Hero Quest and stuff, that's all on that list, as well as terrain. And there's about a 10% chance that I would get that type of project. And I'm going to do, if I'm not radically disrupted, I don't think I would be moving in the immediate, like next week. It would probably be like the week after or so. But the plan is to do the Realm of Battle board. I painted up one of the squares, one of the tiles for that board for Holy Havoc last year. So almost a year ago, exactly. And so the other, how many squares in there? 6. So I think there's 5 more squares, or tiles, I should say. and I'm going to paint the rest of that up. As I said when I painted up that tile for Holy Havoc, this is a board that I've had for 10 years or more. I remember talking to Mrs. Hooves and about buying it and wanting to play on this thing when it first came out. And we played a couple games on it unpainted, and it's pretty much just been in storage ever since. So it'd be nice to actually get that finished, and that'd be something that we could potentially bring out for a game. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Have a good one. Bye.